I think what spooked people is the stopping or pausing of payments. I mean, what really got the country, in my view, upset was when they had for a few hours, like the portals on Medicaid funding stopped. Now, I'm not a sensationalist. They opened those portals, and right now, the Democrats need to be careful on what's actually happening and not just make up sensational things. But they have paused certain types of funding. They paused, for example, the NIH grants, not the direct cancer research, but the funding for the infrastructure to do that research. Those are things that they need to come to Congress for. For example, in the NIH, I would vote for the funding of helping the clinician who's doing cancer research have his electricity and infrastructure paid for. Now, if Musk wants to argue why that shouldn't be the case, make that argument in Congress.
All right, Congressman Ro Khanna, I have to say, I'm going to repeat what I just said to you privately. I'm very, very happy to have you here and have this opportunity to chat with you, because I can't get many Democrats to talk to me. And
I don't get that.
Yeah.
I
Do I seem scary to you?
You look fine so far. I'll let you know at the end of the interview. But, our country was founded on spirited debate, a clash of ideas. I just don't get why we've all been in our own silo. So I appreciate your having me on.
Yeah. Well, look, I often talk about you on the show, and I say you're on my kind of short list of sane Democrats. I do obviously want to do a little autopsy on what has happened to the Democrat Party.
Right.
I was a Democrat for most of my life.
That.
The last two Democrats, we did a little digging before you came in. The last two Democrats I've had on my show were Bobby Kennedy, who ran as a Democrat, no longer a Democrat, and Tulsi Gabbard, who only 4 years ago
was
ran.
a Bernie Sanders supporter.
Right, and now Bernie's not too thrilled with her. So to that point, let's do the broad stuff first, and then we'll get into some of the specifics. What is going on with the Democrat Party at the moment?
For some reason, we have become the party of defending institutions and the status quo, and we got painted as the party of military interventionism and war. Both are a mistake. We have to recognize that people are really angry, righteously angry, at what's happened to this in this country for the last 50 years. Their jobs snatched from them, offshoring, the decline of the working and middle class, and a foreign policy blob that has gotten us into a lot of overseas wars that weren't in the American interest. And so the single biggest problem of the Democratic Party is we can't be the party of the status quo. We've got to be a party of change and transformation.
So how did that happen then? Because and we'll dive into what's going on right now, literally just blocks from us, where, right now, Elon Musk and Donald Trump and this administration are trying to just, as I see it, open the books and figure out what's going on with our spending. And you've got Democrats outside of these buildings saying basically, no, don't go in there, don't look, and have no idea what's happening with our government.
Well, look, I was one of the Democrats, and I've known Elon for many, many years. I was one of the Democrats when he was appointed who said, okay, if you're going to expose wasteful spending, if you're going to expose the projects that we shouldn't have and have more competition, fine, let's work on that. But start with the Department of Defense, that's 56% of the federal budget. Where Elon and I have parted and had a conflict is on the Constitution, and we can get into it.
Sure.
I think, okay, if he's got all of this exposing sunlight, why not just come to Congress, force us to take up or down votes? If he thinks that $50 million is going for reproductive care or something, say, kind of vote on it, up or down. Why is he doing it?
What is it that you have to vote on? I mean, we are, at least from what I understand, at the USAID portion of this, I mean, these are real numbers. What does he have to go to Congress for to figure out there?
Well, he's got to go to Congress to say, if you've appropriated something, if we already have laws saying that we're spending this money and he wants to have that money cut, he should come to Congress and say, look, here are the places that the spending is wasteful, and vote on it. And if I vote for that wasteful spending, it will put me my constituents will hold me accountable. But I think the problem people have right now is there's this sense that he's going to be making these decisions unilaterally.
So do you agree with what they've basically exposed, that the spending is somewhat ridiculous?
I agree that they've exposed certain things that have been wasteful, but I don't think they've taken on the holy grails or the big items yet. I mean, most look, the USAID, we can discuss what should or shouldn't be in there, but the vast majority of spending, as you know, in the federal government is the Department of Defense, right? 56% of discretionary spending. I'm waiting to see what they come up with there.
Sure. So, but is the argument that you think that they won't come up with anything there, or that you just don't like the order that they're doing it in? I've heard some other Democrats say that, basically, like, you should go to defense first. I mean, to me, they're dealing with some of the easy stuff first, that we don't need to be funding, trans comic books in Peru, which quite literally USAID was doing. And then you get to it. So is it really an ordering issue for you?
Well, look, it's a question of what are they just going after things that are low hanging fruit on politics? Or are they actually going to go after the place where there's most wasteful spending? But I give them look. They won the election. They get to decide what they go and expose first in the order. My problem is the constitutionality of it, which is, okay, you're coming up with these findings. Have the confidence to come to the American public, go in front of our oversight committee or whatever committees, share your findings, tell Johnson, you have Johnson as the speaker, to have up or down votes and all of this.
Sure. But so is that not what you think ultimately will happen here going forward? That they'll expose this stuff first, and that will inherently make Congress tighten the belt on some of these things and not do them going forward?
I think what spooked people is the stopping or pausing of payments. I mean, what really got the country, in my view, upset was when they had, for a few hours, like the portals on Medicaid funding stopped. Now, I'm not a sensationalist. They open those portals, and right now, the Democrats need to be careful on what's actually happening and not just make up sensational things. But they have paused certain types of funding. They paused, for example, the NIH grants, not the direct cancer research, but the funding for the infrastructure to do that research. Those are things that they need to come to Congress for. For example, in the NIH, I would vote for the funding of helping the clinician who's doing cancer research have his electricity and infrastructure paid for. Now, if Musk wants to argue why that shouldn't be the case, make that argument in Congress.
Sure. So is the argument really that what they are doing now is unconstitutional? Is that really what the argument is?
That is my
your
problem.
Contention is that it's unconstitutional.
Now, in fairness, there are conservatives who believe that that the Constitution, that Congress's power is simply to set a maximum level, right? And my counter argument to that is, imagine you had Barbara Lee become president from California, and we, she believes you should have 50% spending on the Pentagon. Now she's president. Congress has a $900 billion Pentagon budget, and Barbara Lee says, okay, I only want to spend $300 billion of it. I think that there would be outrage in this country. So Congress, in my view, doesn't just have the power to set the mandate maximums. It has the power of the purse, and this will go to the Supreme Court.
So when I see some of your other colleagues or some of the people in the Senate, so Elizabeth Warren or Bernie, and they're outside USAID, and they're the optics of it, I think, are they don't want anyone to see what the government is doing. From what I understand, you're basically saying it's okay to open up the books and look at all of this stuff, but then bring it to us and we will deal with the spending accordingly. So this is, again, where I think the Democrats, because they're so hysterical so often, if there's a constitutional issue to be fought here, your position makes sense to me, where they seemingly want to hide all of what we're exposing right now.
Well, this is why initially, and I got criticism from my own party when I said that there is waste in government, that we shouldn't be the party that says we are for all government spending. I'm a progressive. I want to expand certain government funding. It's more important for me to be able to convince the American public that that funding is going to be effective. And so that's why I initially expressed a willingness to work together. It's the pausing of payments that really had me break and express concern. If they want to come to Congress and they want to expose things, fine. I mean, that's helpful to have more transparency.
Yeah, I think the basic argument on the other side, and I'm trying to do this as a fair interviewer, and also people know my opinions on all of these things, but I brought you in to hear your opinions. I think the counter argument to all of that, in essence, would be this thing is so broken, it's so obviously wasteful, it's so deeply corrupt, it's so across every institution that there's no way to break it properly in like the most proper way, where I think you're looking for something a little more nuanced that maybe is not real politic or something like that.
Sure. That's the argument that people make, saying, well, Musk would say, I didn't come to Washington to do a report to Congress, and Congress hasn't been able to get this wasteful spending under control for years. Though the Clinton administration, the Clinton presidency did cut a fair amount of federal civil servants in the reinventing government. But the point is the Constitution matters. The Constitution is sacred. That's what makes us different from China or Russia or other countries. And I have more faith in the American public. I have faith that if you come with some of these crazy spending programs that aren't effective, and you force members of Congress to vote on them, that you would get more effective government.
If you're looking for more honest and thoughtful conversations about politics instead of nonstop screaming, check out our politics playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a variety of topics, watch our full episode playlist, all right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.